What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another NFL Showdown breakdown, courtesy of Osmo.com. Today we have a Monday Night Football matchup in which the Giants are going to meet the San Francisco 49ers in a game in which the Niners are favored 3 points. A bit of a surprise given the talent on the Giants' side on offense and some of the struggles of the Niners all year. Eli Manning has proven to be a play that you want to avoid more often than not this year from a fantasy perspective. He can sometimes play well enough to give value to his receivers and his running backs who are pretty good at catching passes, but on his own, he can struggle quite a bit. His price for the Showdown slate, though, does make him pretty tempting. The fact that he's cheaper than Nick Mullins despite his track record is a bit of a surprise. I do think he's playable, particularly in lineup constructions in which you think the Giants are going to beat down the 49ers. The guy I'd be most inclined to play on the Giants side, though, is Saquon Barkley, a guy who has proven to be able to beat the worst matchups, and this is not a terrible matchup versus the Niners, particularly with Reuben Foster and Jaquiski Tartt both out. As we've seen in games with Ezekiel Elliott and James Conner, there is some value from a contrarian standpoint in fading an elite running back, but I do think this matchup with Saquon and just how he's used in the Giants offense make him hard to avoid. Indeed, if you do want to fade him, having some exposure does make sense because he's the most talented and highest ceiling player in this game. Odell Beckham would be another play to strongly favor, but I do think there might be some value in fading him here, and I'm more comfortable going away from him than I am Saquon Barkley. If I were going to go away from Odell, Evan Ingram is another pass catcher whose targets are on the way up after returning from the disabled list a couple weeks ago. I'm the least inclined for Sterling Shepard out of this passing offense. I do think he's going to be the lowest owned player on the side out of the main contributors, and there could be some value in going there. But overall, he looks like the least appealing play to me, and I think it's a little safer to bank on Odell or Saquon or pivot to Evan Ingram and hope that he's going to get you the value you need to get in some better plays on the Niners side. While we're talking about cheap guys, Benny Fowler is another guy you can absolutely consider given his cheap price and the fact that he does get enough targets to be useful. Not a super exciting play, not one to run out a lot, but if you are playing a bunch of lineups, you should have some exposure. On the Niners side, we have Pierre Garçon ruled out, and that means Marquise Goodwin is the wide receiver 1 by default. There's going to be some more equity to go towards Marquise Goodwin in this matchup, but it is going to be tighter without Pierre Garçon. Regardless of how he's performed this year, he is a guy who diverts attention on the field that is now going to be directed towards Goodwin. In terms of ownership, George Kittle should be the more popular target, so I don't mind going to Goodwin overall. And the issue with Kittle is that the Giants have actually defended the tight end position better than they have anything else. They've given up a 24.5% decrease in production of tight ends, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. So it's going to be a tougher matchup for Kittle, and while that doesn't preclude him from hitting value, it does mean that it's going to be tough for sledding for him in a matchup versus the Giants. Kendrick Bourne and Dante Pettis should both pick up a little more action with Pierre Garçon ruled out. I don't think either is going to see a full load that Garçon leaves behind, but I think they're both plays to consider, again, if you're playing a bunch of lineups. I would prefer Kendrick Bourne to Pettis, and I'd also prefer Kendrick Bourne to Kyle Juszczyk, a guy who's had some big weeks before, but only with CJ Beathard at quarterback. Nick Mullins seems like a little less inclined to check down, and I think that as a result, I'd be more inclined for Bourne given their comparable prices of him and Juszczyk. Matt Breida is a good play, but not a great one in this matchup. The fact, though, that he gets 12 to 16 touches a game does make him viable. Also worth considering because, again, it's a showdown slate. You have to look at every angle. Alfred Morris is picking up more touches now that Raheem Mostert is out. Morris is not a great player, but seeing him punch in one touchdown, which just infuriates you as a Matt Breida owner, is absolutely a possibility. I do think Morris is a consideration, and it wouldn't surprise me if he were in the winning lineup at the end of the night. Nick Mullins is the key guy to decide on here. If you're going to play him, I would stack him up with Marquise Goodwin or George Kittle, but I do think there is some value in fading Nick Mullins, given the fact that on the other side, we have a cheaper Eli Manning with much more talent who is healthier. I don't love the idea of playing Eli Manning over Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is an exciting, shiny new toy who looked really good in his first start. There was a very cushy matchup versus the Raiders, and there is now game tape on him for the Giants to dissect, and I worry a little bit about him being figured out in this matchup. Given that, it's not crazy to want a defense really on either side of this matchup. I would be more inclined to go with the Giants D because I think Nick Mullins will be higher owned, and then that's a pretty good leverage point to go with the Giants defense versus an inexperienced quarterback who may be more inclined to throw turnovers when he finds pressure. With a game like this that could really break either way depending upon how things look early on, I think if you're playing multiple lineups, exposure to both defenses makes a lot of sense. It doesn't strike me as a kicker game, but what game really does? I would favor Robbie Gould over Aldrick Rosas, just because the Giants defense has been a little better in the red zone, giving up touchdowns at just 42.9% of opponents' red zone possessions. They're kickers, though, so minimize your exposure. If you want to have any or the price works, get them in there, but otherwise, don't try to have a ton of them. You want to spend your resources on skill position players. And there we go. That's how I view this Monday Night Football slate. It's a tough one to break down given what we know with Nick Mullins and don't know with the injuries on the Niners side and Mullins' inexperience. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Likes help us out a ton, and we appreciate this, especially when working a Sunday night to give you some content about a Giants-Niners game. And last but not least, make sure to use that promo code MUNSHOWDOWN on awesemo.com. This video is going to help you figure things out, but what's going to help you even more are rankings from the top DFS player in the world, Awesemo. So go sign up now. Promo code MUNSHOWDOWN will give you 1 week free of awesemo.com. It's going to be rankings for tonight's Showdown slate, rankings for the main slate that's coming up next week, ownership projections, which are the most important part of getting ahead of the field in daily fantasy sports. So go sign up. Promo code MUNSHOWDOWN. It's right here. I'm pointing on the right side because I'm becoming a professional at doing these videos. Mun Showdown. Click it. Sign up. Awesemo.com. And I will be back again for the Thursday night football matchup. So I'll see you guys again soon. And good luck. Go Nick Mullins. Maybe go Eli.